Well, thank you. So, hi everybody. Welcome to another fun Friday. This is the second installment of our Creativity and Your Wellbeing series. Kim did the first one. We learned how to do DIY masks and bags out of upcycled t-shirts. And in today's class, we will try our hand at some easy painting and embroidery crafts. Clearly, I need this meditation moment for myself. Anywho, so just some quick housekeeping announcements before we get started. This meeting will be recorded, so just be sure to keep yourself on mute if you don't want your voice shown on the recording. As far as video goes, only my video and my overhead camera will be shown. Kim from our wellness team is here. She will be monitoring the chat just in case you have any questions throughout today's webinar. So I'm going to start with a few slides. I'm going to go ahead and screen share. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that. This is just going to be, oops, where'd it go? Okay, so everyone can see that, right? So this, like I said, this is Creativity and Your Wellbeing number 2. Today we're learning easy canvas crafts. So just a quick wellness tidbit. How does creativity or crafting specifically impact our well-being? So crafting actually has, studies show crafting has effects similar to that of meditation. So it decreases feelings of stress, anxiety, and depression, and increases feelings of happiness, mindfulness, mental agility, and memory. So during crafting, our brains are able to achieve a sense of flow where we are focused, energized, and we get this positive sense of reward. Moving on to what we'll cover today. So we're going to be doing 2 easy painting crafts where we will also dabble in a little bit of easy stitching, but I'll go over that in detail. So on the left there, the first 2 paintings are examples of a geometric tape painting, which we will be doing today. And on the right, those 2 images are an example of our fine line stitched canvas embroidery, which we'll be learning about in the second half of class. Alrighty, so hopefully you're back to my screen. I'm going to be using a dual camera system today, so you should be seeing one screen, has my face on it. One screen is an overhead camera. If you don't see both at one time, you can switch your Zoom to speaker view and you should be able to see both cameras. And Kim will be toggling back and forth between the 2 views depending on which part of the class I am at. So, your supplies needed. Hopefully you guys all got the decal for the supplies needed for this class, whether you are crafting along or you are watching this and you're going to do it later on, perhaps this weekend. Okay, so let's see. Maybe a quick, oh, thanks, Kim. She put the supply list in the chat. Maybe a quick bit of participation to see who we have in class today. So in the chat, if you could give me a number 1 through 5, with 1 being this is your first arts and crafts experience ever, and 5 being you are an experienced crafter. So any range from 1 through 5, type it in the chat so we know who's here. Let's see, we have 3, 4, 2.5. We got a lot of 3s, a lot of 4s, some 5s, nice. And a few more 4s. Thanks. So I picked these crafts because they are fun and relaxing for the experienced crafter and easy enough for a beginner. So if you've done this before, thanks for joining us again. If this is your first time if this is your first time trying it, then I'm excited. Okay. So we're going to kind of flip back and forth between our 2 crafts because I'm hoping I have enough time for paint to dry to finish as much as I can in this 50-minute period. The embroidery craft, I might not be able to stitch through the whole thing, but that is meant to be a relaxing craft. So even if you don't finish it, if you are crafting along in the 50 minutes, it's meant to be able to take your time to do. So we are going to start by prepping our canvas for the embroidery craft first and let it dry when we get to the other wedding. So for the embroidery craft specifically, you're going to need a stretched canvas. So a stretched canvas has the wooden frame on the back, and it has this soft part of canvas in the middle. Other types of canvas, there are hard canvases where, see, it's a hard back, but this obviously we wouldn't be able to put a needle through. So for the embroidery craft, we need a stretched canvas. So you're going to take your painter's tape, and we are going to paint a line straight across, diagonally, straight across the canvas. Straight diagonally across. Okay, and for this craft, I am going to be using green. I put in the instructions that you can choose one color of acrylic paint, so I will be using green today. Okay, and paintbrush wise, you could use either flat brushes. The round brushes work too, but for this, I recommend the flat brush just because it covers more surface area and we're not really doing fine detail lines. So I'm going to use this one today, but any of these will work. And I'm just going to pick up the green paint and paint across one side of the tape. You can make this as opaque or translucent as you want. Oh my goodness, I forgot. Safety first, clean up first. So you can put a newspaper down just to make sure you don't get your table dirty if you are working on a dining table like I am today. Okay, there we go. We're in business. Got our paint. And this doesn't have to be neat because it's just going to be the background to the main part of this art piece. For the purposes of this class today, I'm going to take it more on the opaque side just so it'll dry a little faster. But if you're doing this at home and you have more time for it to dry between, you could definitely make it as dark as you want. All right, there we go. So like I said, this is just the backdrop for the second piece that we're doing. And that's it. So now I'm going to leave this off to dry on the side while we get into the other craft. Okay. On the side here, I have a little cup of water. This would be the perfect opportunity to reuse an old jar. However, all mine have food in it right now, so I didn't have a jar at hand, but a designated painting or craft jar would be a great way to recycle. Okay, so for the second craft, for this one, you can use a hard canvas if it's all that you could find or all that you had on hand. We're going to take our painter's tape. If you have thicker painter's tape, like I happen to have on hand, you can cut it to make it thinner to your liking if you'd like. So I just take scissors and cut it down the middle. And then I have thinner strips like so. So for this, we're going to lay them out and basically make little triangles across our canvas. If you want, you don't have to use triangles like I showed in the example on the slides. You could definitely spell out your name, or if you are a little more adventurous, you could use the tape to kind of make a shape, a flower or a smiley face. So I'm just going to lay them in geometric triangle shapes. Across our canvas. You can make them as long or as short as you want, keeping in mind that after we paint, these pieces of blue tape are going to stay white. So there's no rhyme or reason. Let your creativity soar. Yep, that was a little short piece. I pre-cut some of these pieces to have some for the class, but these were on the short side. And if you wanted to, you don't have to cut the tape in half like I did. For this piece, I feel like I want thinner lines, but you can definitely leave them thicker. Also, if you don't have painter's tape on hand and you didn't have time to go to the store, an alternative that I have found, which is, it works, but just not as clean as painter's tape. If you have washi tape at home, which is commonly used for stationery or decorative purposes, that also peels off easily when it comes to this project. So it won't stick to your canvas if that's all you happen to have on hand. Okay, just a few more pieces and we'll have this covered. And I was actually inspired by that example I used on the slide with the rainbow colors, so that is what I'm going to go for today. But you don't have to get a bunch of colors of acrylic paint to do this. You can definitely make it monochromatic, where you just use one color for all the triangles and it'll just be one color and white. You could do different shades of a color. Say if you wanted to do different shades of purple, you could have a dark violet, a lilac, and you could even have white or gray on the side and mix that in to create more of a gradient effect. So the possibilities are endless. Okay, last piece here. Okay, and don't worry if they're not perfect, if some of your edges are jagged like mine, or if you have some bits of the tape, that just will contribute to the artistic vision of the piece. Okay, so now I'm going to go in. I have pre-poured some of my rainbow colors onto this plate that I'm using as a palette. I'm going to go in with a brush and let's see, I'm going to pick up the red first. I feel like I'm having a Bob Ross moment. Do you remember him? Okay, so I'm going to start with red and just paint over the top. If you've ever done like adult coloring books, I find painting has very similar effects because you're just so focused at applying pigment to the canvas and staying in the lines or not staying in the lines. This would also be great if you'd wanted to listen to music. So speaking about effects similar to meditation, if you had music playing in the background while you did this, it's a great social activity. Paint nights are really popular, right? So you could do it with some friends over a glass of wine. Personally, I like listening to something soft, like smooth jazz in the background when I'm doing crafting. Anybody else have any suggestions for crafting music or music that they find meditative? Feel free to drop it in the chat. Ooh, someone says their spouse is practicing guitar in the background. Live music, wow, that sounds awesome. Kim says lo-fi beats on Spotify. That is also a great one. I don't know if anyone else has heard of lo-fi. I think Kim knows the fun fact of why it's called lo-fi, but basically it's an instrumental type beat where it's just very soft and very relaxing. Ooh, watching movies in the background, like Harry Potter. I love it. That's a good one. Oh, there we go. Kim with the trivia facts. So lo-fi is short for low fidelity, if anyone wanted to know. I listen to a lot of lo-fi, or I've been really into jazz lately. Or sometimes on a nice sunny day, maybe some island reggae. Ooh, we have some classic rock fans in the chat. Another thing you could do with this piece is if you wanted to venture beyond just painting your shapes solid colors, you could also do prints in the shape. Say you wanted to do polka dots in one of these squares, you could definitely do that. Or if you even wanted to paint if you wanted to paint a picture, say you wanted to do flowers or you wanted to do a sunset, even picture-specific scenery can go into the squares. Oops, my paint. I accidentally mixed the colors a little bit, but you know what? We're going to go with it. A lot of art is kind of just, seeing where it takes you. So it might not have been where you meant to start at the very beginning, but you ended up somewhere. That's the beauty of it, right? We got another reggae fan? Nice. Something about it I just find very relaxing. Like I said, especially on a sunny day, blue skies. I think I need a little more, let's see, more red. If you do this a lot, another more sustainable method than using a disposable plate is you can get a cheap glass platter, like easily find one at a store like Dollar Tree, and just have that as your designated plate, art palette, I guess, pseudo art palette. I need more green. Okay, we are almost done. You could definitely take your time with this, but for the purpose of this class, I'm trying to make it so I'll have something to reveal at the end. But you could definitely go as slow or as fast as you want. Let's say you had Harry Potter on in the background or your favorite movie. You could, give your hand a break, watch a few minutes of the film. Let's see. I think we need a little more yellow. So we're going. Rinse off my brush. yellow in the big spot. So I'm going to do red here, and we're almost done. I think I want to do one more orange. This project is also perfect if you have kids or nieces or nephews or your friends' kids. Great for them too. And let's finish it off with yellow in the corner. All right, that's all she wrote. Okay, so we're going to leave this one off to the side. And hopefully after I get into the other one, it'll be dry enough to do some revealing tape pulls. Okay, so I'm going to put this off to the side, and we're going to move on to our other piece. Oops. Okay, so he hasn't quite dried yet, but we're going to go for it. Okay, so when your piece has fully dried, mine is not quite dry yet, so I'm going to improv a little bit. We're going to pull the painter's tape off. And at home, you wouldn't do this. You would just wait for this to completely dry. But because I want to get into it for this class, I'm going to dab it a little bit with a paper towel to speed up the drying process. There we go. Nice. Okay, so if you looked at the stencils before the class, I had some easy examples there. You could either use those stencils or use your own. If you are more adventurous, you could definitely draw your own design as well. So I have printed one of the designs from the stencil list I selected. And when I say it should fit in the center of your canvas, remember how on the back of these stretched canvases, there's the wood border. Your design should fit inside of those wood borders. You'll see later that we need to be able to access the stretched part of the canvas. So I'm going to measure it to where it fits in the middle, and you want it to kind of overlap the green part and overlap the part we kept white. That looks good. I'm going to take some of my trusty painter's tape, and I'm going to just fix it to the canvas. This is just so it doesn't move. We're going to be using this as a stencil. Okay. This doesn't have to be super neat because we're going to be pulling it off after we're done with it. Okay, then you're going to take your push pin, which is on the supply list. There we go, push pin. And I'm basically going to poke holes, tracing the lines of the pattern. And the holes are going to go through the paper and through the canvas. So I'm going to take it, poke a hole, like we have there, and I'm just going to go maybe not super close together, maybe I'd say like an eighth to a quarter of an inch apart. So there's a hole there. If you can see, I'm going to go another one here, and then keep going. All right, can everyone see that? So I'm going to basically continue to make holes and go through the whole pattern. For this, you could also use your needle, but I find a push pin is easier because it doesn't hurt your fingers. It has this nice plastic part that you can grip onto. This is probably the more tedious part of this project. But once you get the hang of it, you just kind of punch away. If you wanted to do less holes, you could also choose an even simpler design. So why do we pre-poke the holes and why do we not just go ahead and stitch right in? I find that pre-poking the holes makes it easier when we get to the stitching part because the canvas can be a little tricky to poke holes through with just the needle and the thread. All right. Okay, and actually I'm just going to do one of the leaves now, just so we have time to do everything we want to do. So I've poked holes following the lines through just this one leaf that I'm going to do right now. After that, we're going to remove the paper stencil by carefully peeling off the blue painter's tape. And I'll put this closer to the camera so you can see there's holes and it's in the pattern of the leaf from the paper. Now we're going to get to stitching. So we're going to do a little bit of embroidering. Do we have any embroiderers in the audience? Has anyone here embroidered before, or is this your first time learning about it? Ooh, we have one. Heidi, Diana, nice. Embroidering is actually something I picked up during the pandemic. It totally was a new discovery for me through all the past year, but it's been so much fun. Yay, we have some embroiderers here. So for those experienced embroiderers, I'm actually going to teach back stitch today, but for those of you that are new to it, this should be easy to learn. Cross stitch. Cross stitch, I'd say in middle school that counts, kid. Okay, so for this, you're going to need embroidery needles, and they come in a pack like this. Why embroidery needles and not regular sewing needles? Regular sewing needles are too thin and not thick enough for this project. You could do it, but it'll be a little harder to push that thin needle through the thick canvas. So embroidery thread or embroidery cloth comes in a pack like so. This could be neater, but I just bought it like this. For this craft, I'm going to do green and white because what I'm going to do is the part of the design that's on the green, I'm going to stitch in white. The part of the design that's on the white, I'm going to stitch in green. So it's a nice kind of juxtaposition of colors. You don't have to do that. Like I said, art is up to the discussion of the artist. We're all artists here, right? We're all artists in our own way. You could totally just do it in all black or all green if you wanted. Okay, and then, so what I've done here is I pre-threaded my thread through the needle. If you have an embroidery needle with a bigger hole, that also makes it easier to get your thread through because it's a lot thicker than normal thread that you use for clothes. So I've threaded it through, left a little bit hanging at the top, and knotted the other end. So let's see, I'm going to keep my stencil down here as a reference so I know what shape I'm aiming for if I kind of lose my place. I'm going to start down here at the bottom of the stem. So for a back stitch, I'm actually going to start through the second hole, not the first hole. So we're going to come up through the second hole, pull it through, and then down through the first hole. Having those holes that we pre-poked makes this process really, or not really easy, but I mean really easy, but a lot easier than not having the holes. And it gives you a guide and you don't have to jam the needle through the canvas. So from the first hole we just went down, I'm going to come up through now the next hole, the third hole. Let me find it. There we go. Third hole. Pull it through. I'm holding it up so you can see. And then now we're going to go back through the second hole. So a back stitch is up through the second hole and back through let me rephrase that. A back stitch is up through the next hole and down through the previous hole. Okay, I'll keep going. So we're going to go up through the next hole, pull it through, and back down through the previous hole. This part I find super relaxing. You could easily do this sitting on the couch, watching a movie. This part does not need to be at a table. There we go. So for reference, I'll show you what it looks like on the back. So we're just going to keep following the holes. There we go, up and back down through. There we go. Does anybody have any questions so far? Now I wish I had music to play, or I wish I was able to fast forward this. I'm going to try to do as much as I can. Okay. All right, so when I get to the green line that we made, I'm actually, because I want to do that juxtaposition of colors, I am going to stop here because I only want to do green on this side, and I'm going to stop here because I want to go in with white thread on that side. Let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Heidi got the hard canvas. Well, the hard canvas you'll be able to use for that first craft, but for this one, you need the stretched one. But good thing is that this recording will be posted later, so you'll be able to do this another time, hopefully. So this line would usually continue on through the green, but because I want to keep the green on this side, I'm going to skip over to the leaf part. So let me just find where the next hole on this side would be. Does anyone have any questions on the back stitch? If you can, if you do, feel free to ask. So up through the next hole and down through the previous hole, and it just creates a nice solid line. Oh, thanks, Carrie. Yeah, the spacing of the holes definitely helps, but if you happen to, let's call it miss punch when you're at the push pin stage, the good part of this is once you have the lines sewn, you can't really tell if you accidentally spaced one too close. So thank you. So I've been embroidering over the past year, and I've been just doing embroidery hoops, and I finish them in the hoops and then keep the hoops as is. But a lot of people ask me, people that aren't familiar with embroidery, what do we do with embroidery? And I'm like, well, you hang it. It's like Walmart. You hang it just like you would a poster. But if, say, you wanted to gift someone something and they're not really a embroidery hoop person, this is perfect because it looks more like a traditional, not traditional, but a more common art piece. Okay, so see here, it kind of might get a little confusing because there are more holes, so I'm keeping my stencil for reference. So I know that this part, it's going to go in first before going back out. So, okay. Actually, I'm going to finish or pause the green for now, just so I can show you some of the white. So to finish it, I'm just going to tie a knot. You could go through the previous stitch, but to keep it simple, I'm just going to tie a simple knot at the end, grab my scissors, and cut off the excess. I just want to get in there and show you some white, which I also have pre-threaded here, and we're going to go into the green part. So, okay, so I'm going to see, let's see, my stem would have continued through here, so I'm going to start in that first hole that's on the green, come up and through. Ooh, we have some people that are relaxed just watching. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Sometimes it's really satisfying just watching other people do this. I mean, I guess that's what a lot of people saw watching Bob Ross. I used to watch a lot of Bob Ross on TV. Okay, let's see, up through previous hole. I made this piece a little long. I cut this piece of thread a little bit long, so it's a little bit harder for me to pull it through. So note to self, don't cut it too long. Oops, okay. I accidentally knotted it over itself. If that happens, just tie it off and you can come in and start again. Ooh, someone said, studies have shown that people watching someone else craft also achieve the same beneficial brainwave activity. Nice. Well, this is a 2-for-1 then. It's a great fun fact. Okay. This happens. So a little bit of a mishap here. When I was stitching, I didn't pull it through all the way, and then so now I knotted the white thread on itself. So we're going to go through again. I've cut it loose, and now I have to rethread the needle. So I'm going to rethread through to bring it closer to my face so I could see. This part can be a little tricky, but just be patient with yourself. My goodness. Okay, I can't get it in right now. So we are just going to continue with the green. And let me try one more time. One more time. All right, so I'm going to try one more time with the white thread. We got it! Yay! Okay, so tying a knot at one end, I'll do a few more stitches on the green side. Get a little paper towel here. Okay, so showing that back stitch a few more times. Finish off where we left off. Let's see. Okay, we're going to come up through here and back down. Following my pattern, I'm going to go, let's see, up this way. So through the paint side can also be a little bit trickier. It takes a little more time just because the paint adds like a stickier film pulling it through. But just take your time with this project. All right, so as you can see, when we finish, it'll look like it's green on this side, but it'll be one continuous design as it runs through the rest of the pattern. So this is going to take a long time, definitely longer than 50 minutes, but in the end, it'll look like this. Maybe I will send a picture out to everybody once I finish this, but it'll take me some more time. And also, you want to take advantage of the meditation aspects of this. So don't put pressure on yourself to finish it fast. It's more so about the joy of the activity, the journey, not the destination, right? However, I do have some finished samples to show you. So these are pieces that I've done before today. I'm going to put this aside, finish later. This was one of the first ones I did. So it's supposed to be an abstract couple dancing. See how I did yellow on this side, yellow floss on this side, kept this white, blank white canvas, and then white thread on this side. And this is also a stitched canvas on the back. And then if you have other colors of embroidery floss or thread, oh, thanks, Carrie. You can also do multicolored thread and not just do the same color as the paint and white. So I did this one where I did same thing, green on this side. This I had more time. I think I let it dry overnight, so I made it super opaque. And this is just blank white canvas. And instead of just keeping it green on this side, I got a little adventurous and did some lighter green. And then instead of just white, I put some accents of purple. So this is supposed to be a bird of paradise flower. So the possibilities are endless, and they make great gifts. Mother's Day is coming up. It's a great Mother's Day gift or even a birthday gift. But then, yeah, great wall decoration. Okay, let's jump back to our geometric tape painting and do some paint reveals or tape peeling. Okay, so once it is dry, you can peel off the blue tape. I was going a little fast, so my edges bled a little bit. However, I think it adds to the artistic vision of the piece. It makes it look like you did it on purpose. Gives it some texture. And like I said, if you wanted to, let's say, hang this somewhere in your house to match your decorations, you could do it monochromatic. Say your living room is a lot of maybe browns and neutral colors. You could definitely do this in shades of gold, tan, brown, khaki type colors, and it would be a very nice addition to your wall. So there we go. And you could also, like I said, vary the width of your tape, and you can make the white lines even smaller. Another idea is once this is done, you can take black paint or gold paint, even a gold marker or gold Sharpie. You could outline these triangles or outline the lines, and it adds an even, it adds a little more flair to your piece if that's the direction you want to go. Thank you. Ooh, Carrie says she might add some beads. Ooh, that's a good idea. Beads or glitter, if you're a glitter person. I don't know about you, but I know some people either love glitter or hate glitter, but I am a glitter fan. Anything with glitter. You could also do that where take some craft glue, put it where you want it, add some glitter on top, shake it off, let it dry, and it adds a little bit of extra pizzazz. Alrighty, well, those are our two projects for today. I hope I brought you some creative crafting ideas, and apparently you also felt relaxed watching me. So I'll go ahead and stop the recording now, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to talk or chat in the chat.